Want to lead off with a big story this week, in my opinion, maybe the biggest, and that is the announcement that good old JR, perhaps the greatest play-by-play man in the history of pro wrestling, Jim Ross, is returning to pro wrestling announcing for the Global Force Wrestling / New Japan Pro Wrestling pay-per-view live from the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan on January 4th. Now, this is big, not completely unexpected. There were a lot of rumors about this for some time, but now that it's official, I am very much excited. I mean, I was already excited for the New Japan show, planning on buying it. It's their first traditional pay-per-view offering here in the U.S., not, just iPay-per-view. But this, to me, just puts it over the top. If I wasn't sold on this show already, which I was, now I am for sure. Now, for those of you who don't know all the details, we're still not quite sure exactly what is going on with Jeff Jarrett's Global Force Wrestling. There are rumors that in the next couple of months, he himself will make some announcements about talent and where they will take TV. They are supposed to run as their own kind of wrestling brand, but what they've been doing is they've been forming partnerships with different organizations and indies all over the world, and not just indies, but, a huge organization, arguably maybe the number 2 wrestling promotion in the world right now in terms of business, that being New Japan Pro Wrestling. And they brokered this deal with New Japan and with the cable companies to carry the New Japan show on pay-per-view. So it's a little awkward because the name of the show technically is, Global Force Wrestling presents New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's a little convoluted. I like it just because I can now watch a New Japan show on pay-per-view. I mean, hell, what's not to like about that? As far as GFW itself, it's still a little murky exactly what form it will take, but the event will be airing live as it airs in Japan. So as the event takes place in Japan, again, the time zone difference, when you take that into account, the live first run airing is going to be airing at 2 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Time, which is 4 p.m. in Tokyo. The show is supposed to be 4 hours, which is actually less than usual. These shows usually go every bit of 5 hours, maybe sometimes closer to 6, which sounds like a lot. I complain about 3 hours of Raw. But, when you have wrestling done right, it doesn't have to be as tiring. I still think sitting there for 5 hours straight is probably too much. But they're going to have to keep this show within that 4-hour window, so I hope that doesn't sacrifice the quality of some of the matches. I would imagine a lot of the undercard matches will have to lose some time that they normally would not lose, because this is such a loaded lineup, which we'll get to in a second. There's just so many big matches that those top 4 or 5 matches, you can't really cut from those matches. So you're going to have to cut from somewhere else. I don't know how they're going to do it, but hopefully it doesn't sacrifice the quality and integrity of the show, because I think everybody should be able to watch a Wrestle Kingdom show, and this is the 24th installment, I believe. This is like their WrestleMania. It's their big annual New Year's event in the Tokyo Dome, 50,000 people packed in there. They have their biggest matches, and now they've got Jim Ross on commentary, doing the American commentary. He will have a broadcast partner. There's a lot of rumors it's going to be Mike Tenay, although with some, TNA developments this week and some news that may be breaking on the TV front, it's possible that Tenay won't do the show. He may re-sign with TNA. I believe his deal is either up or just about up, so he will have to re-sign, and he may well re-sign with TNA. If he does that, I can't see him being allowed to do the Tokyo Dome show. If he doesn't, he may very well be there doing commentary with Jim Ross, and that would be, to my knowledge, the first time that Mike Tenay and Jim Ross have ever been broadcast partners. If he goes back to TNA, who would it be? Some people say, CM Punk. You know what? Never say never. I don't see it happening. I know that Punk probably still has an affinity for New Japan. He name-dropped them in that pipe bomb promo many years ago. Maybe the opportunity to go broadcast one show and do a show with Jim Ross over in Japan, who's to say? Who's to say that isn't something Punk would be interested in? I think Punk just has gotten out of the wrestling bubble completely. I don't see it happening, but you never know. So if it's not Tenay, who would it be? I can't even speculate beyond those 2 names. I have no idea. What I like about it, though, is that you do have the option, if you want to, of listening to the Japanese commentary. Now, I watch a lot. The only New Japan I watch, really, is online, obviously. That's the extent that I am exposed to it. So whenever they have big shows, I try to watch what I can, and then matches will float around on YouTube or Daily Motion. And I try to take in as much of it as I can. I mean, I will I will watch as much of it as I can because I enjoy it that much. And the Japanese commentary does not take away from it for me. Like, if this pay-per-view is strictly Japanese-only commentary, I could see that being a turnoff for a lot of people. And you can't really do that if you're breaking into the American market. You've got to have the option, at least, for American announcing. But you can switch between the two using the SAP option on your television, which I think is really cool. So you will have the choice. If you don't want to listen to Jim Ross and his partner doing the show, if it's just not a good fit or you just want to keep the Japanese commentary, you can do that. Not me. My television is so old it doesn't even have a SAP button, so I don't have that option. But most of you with televisions that were made in the last 10 years probably do. So I think that's really cool. Wherever you may be, you should have it available to you. It's on DirecTV, Dish, AT&T Uverse, Comcast, Verizon Fios. I think pretty much every cable system in this country. So this is your chance if you've never seen New Japan before. What a hell of a way to see New Japan for the first time. This is going to be a big, big show. And it's a show that goes back, like I said, well over 20 years. A lot of big names, big American names have appeared on this event before. Hulk Hogan is one. Sting, Vader, Randy Savage, Brock Lesnar, who at one point after he left WWE became the IWGP champion. Great Muta and Chono and all those guys. Let's run down the card really quickly here, just to give you a sense of some of the big matches that are taking place. Obviously, the key match is the main event. It is Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP title. Probably the two biggest names in New Japan, two of the biggest names and best wrestlers in the entire world. And they have had a rivalry now that has stretched back many years. They've had a whole series of matches. And unlike John Cena and Randy Orton, you know what? Even Tanahashi and Okada has not been done to death as much as something like Cena Orton. But even if it was, the big difference is that when Tanahashi and Okada go in there, you know exactly what you're getting. They're going to go in there, and they have the potential to not only have the best match on the show, but possibly one of the best matches of all time. I mean, who knows if they will or not, but that's the caliber of talent you're dealing with here. Whereas with Cena Orton, you don't really expect that. So I don't mind the fact that these guys have had a whole bunch of matches. Now they're going to have another one. This may be their best yet. This could and Jim Ross made this comment. He did an interview this past week and said, I am broadcasting, this main event that I'm broadcasting on January 4th could very well, and think about this, think about the length of his career, all the classic matches he's called. I'm almost positive that he must have called at least one of the Flair Steamboat matches, Austin Rock, all these big iconic matches in history. And Jim Ross says this could end up being the biggest, greatest main event I've ever called. And, you could say, well, he has to say that, he has to hype up the show, but I think he believes that, and I think there is the potential for this to be the greatest main event that he's ever called, and that covers a lot of ground. So this is a big-time match between Tanahashi and Okada. We have Shinsuke Nakamura and Kota Ibushi for the Intercontinental title. We have Taguchi against Kenny Omega, who recently hooked up with New Japan. He is now a member of the Bullet Club faction. They'll be wrestling for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Big-time tag team four-way match with Red Dragon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly, who I believe they're the Ring of Honor tag team champions, taking on the Forever Hooligans, Alex Kozlov and Rocky Romero, the Time Splitters, Alex Shelley and Kushida, and the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt, for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight tag team titles. We have Tomohiro Ishii against Togi Makabe for the Never Openweight title, and Minoru Suzuki against Kazushi Sakuraba, knockouts and submissions only. This is going to be a brutal match. I haven't even seen it yet. I can tell you right now, you are going to cringe and wince many times, and probably cheer quite a bit as well during that match. It's always fun to watch two guys just go in there and beat the piss out of each other. That's what that match is on the card for. There's a lot of other matches. Those are the key ones right now. And so I'm very excited for this. I really am. And as we get closer to the event on January 4th, I'll probably talk about it more and do a more in-depth rundown when we get closer, and then a review post-show. So that's something to look forward to. But if you've missed Jim Ross, if you want to hear him back in his environment where he belongs, calling pro wrestling and not just telling stories and being made fun of and mocked, just JR out there doing what he does best, doing what he was put on this planet to do. You got one more chance to do that on January 4th.